First I left old England shore, such yarns as we were told, as how folks in Australia could pick up lumps of gold. So when we got to Melbourne town, we were ready soon to slip and get even with the captain and scuttle from the ship. With his swag upon me shoulder, Black Billy in me hand, I travel the bush of Australia like a true-born native man.
This is a brief history of the Maryborough Goldfields. The Maryborough Goldfields comprise of the 4 Mile Creek and its tributaries. Many gullies and creeks lying to the east and trending towards the Deep Creek, and the Timor Creek lying to the west, all of them pouring their waters into the River Loddon. Low hills composed of unaltered claystones, sandstones and mudstones of Silurian age prevail, but on the east, its boundaries following the bends of the Deep Creek, there is a covering of basalt, and a long narrow strip of the same rock, enclosing the Bet Creek, lies to the west. The auriferous alluviums in the valley of the 4 Mile Creek extend continuously for 9 miles, the breadth varying from 5 to 40 chains, and numerous tributaries add to the available auriferous area. The Timor Creek is auriferous throughout its extent and has been worked more or less for a length of 9 miles. On all the hills, auriferous quartz veins are seen cropping out at the surface, and the gullies having their sources near these have been very rich. This area has, from time to time, been the scene of many large rushes. Thousands of men congregated on one lead and commenced operations, and then hearing of some remarkable discoveries, such as that of the Scandinavian lead of the Balaclava, immediately abandoned their claims to take up new ground in the adjacent creeks. The hills being low and not very thickly timbered, the sinking not very deep and only in some places wet, the gold generally distributed and supplies of stores and readily obtainable, it has happened that this area has been more completely prospected and better developed than almost any other. This is easily seen when the map of the district is examined, and yet it cannot be said that all the gullies have been worked, or indeed opened, and as regards the deep leads, they are scarcely touched at all. The Maryborough Main Lead, Chinaman's Flat, Blackman's Lead, Griff's Gully, and many other localities within the watershed of the 4 Mile Creek have for a long time supported a mining population, and the Adelaide Lead, Inkerman, Alma Flat and Balaclava on the Timor Creek are yet far from being exhausted. At Balaclava, the strata are as shows: 4 feet of loam, 13 feet of red clay and gravel, 18 feet of reddish clay, 12 feet of white clay and sand, 8 foot of red gravel and sand, and 7 foot of white clay and gravel, being the pay layer. Total of 62 feet. The wash dirt, composed of white clay and gravel and small pebbles of quartz, is about 1 foot in thickness. The gutter is 10 feet in width, and the wash dirt averaged 5 pennies weights to the tub. Mr. E. O'Farrell, formerly chairman of the Mining Board of Maryborough Mining District, has communicated some information relative to the gold workings in the district. He says, on arriving at Simon's Ranges in June 1854, seeking for new fields, I and my three mates found a prospecting party at work at a place since known as the White Hills. At that time, there were only 30 or 40 men in addition to the prospectors, and these were engaged principally in stacking or surfacing. No water was available to wash the stuff at any place nearer than Bet Bet and Deep Creek, or about 3 to 5 miles from the auriferous ground. The hill was not of great extent, and situate in a large flat almost surrounded by a blind creek. The sinking was very difficult, being through white cement. One party bottomed at the edge of the creek and carried a drive towards the hill, where they picked out nuggets varying in weight from 1 to 10 ounces. All the ground was soon marked off in claims, though the sinking was hard and difficult. It was only by the use of gads that we could get through the hard cement, the depth of which was from 10 to 13 feet. It occupied parties from 14 to 21 days to sink through this stratum. The bottom was a splendid, soft white pipe clay, and though the wash dirt taken out at that time was only some 6 or 9 inches, yet the nuggets which could be picked out paid the men well. The next scene, the operations, was a hill about 1 mile south of the first gold workings, and on the same flat about 2.5 miles from the site of the town of Maryborough. In its character, it was similar to the first. The depth of sinking was from 16 to 24 feet, and through hard cement mixed with large white boulders. The wash dirt taken out was only some 4 or 6 inches, but in it were found a large number of splendid nuggets thickly scattered over the white pipe clay bottom. In consequence, the distance from water there was little or no dirt washed from either of the hills. One load of 40 small buckets washed by us yielded 3 ounces. This was not considered at the time sufficiently remunerative, as we had to pay about £2 for the carting of each load. Payable gold was discovered just at this time by another party, about 3 miles higher up, in shallow ground, about 3 feet deep, and to that we removed. Claims were marked out rapidly, a rush set in, and it was fed by parties returning disappointed from the shallow diggings at Avoca. Gold was found in almost every hole, and within a period of less than 3 months from the time when I first saw the prospector's tent near the site of this town of Maryborough, there were at least 30,000 miners on the ground. The rush after this time increased. The depth of sinking varied from 4, 6, 8, 10, 14, 20 up to 35 feet, at which depth it began to bear the name of Blackman's Lead. Another branch of the same lead, extending south towards Amherst, which was very rich, and in depth not exceeding 7 or 10 feet, was traced down the flat, where it narrowed from 15 or 16 claims of 24 feet, each to a width of 4 or 5 claims towards the point of its junction with the Blackman's Lead. The value of these leads is well known, but I myself witnessed prospects from 1 shovelful of dirt taken out of the gutters of 18 and 20 ounces. The same stuff washed on an average for about 2 feet in thickness, as much as 24 to 36 ounces of gold to 40 small buckets. This was out of the main lead gutter, not by any means as rich as the Blackman's Lead, which yielded nuggets of all shapes and sizes. The sinking of both the leads was easy, being yellow clay on the surface, which layers of red and white gravel intermixed with a heavy wash of boulders and gravel on the bottom, which was composed of slate and soft pipe clay. The wash dirt at the time taken out varied from 1 foot to 3 feet in thickness, but since then the strata have paid puddlers and others in many places from the surface to a depth of 20 feet. It was thought the ground at or below the junction of the two rich leads would be exceedingly valuable, but such was not the case. At the junction of the ground was poor for nearly half a mile, and it was only where the lead took another bend and left the side of the range that the gold became plentiful. This was named Commissioner's Flat. Here the sinking became deeper, varying from 55 to 65 feet, the gold being scattered, the lead from 14 to 16 claims in width, the wash dirt from 2 to 5 feet in thickness, and the average yield from 4 to 10 ounces to the load of 40 American buckets. About the year 1855, the miners left Maryborough to seek better fortune on the south side of the Dividing Range, at a place called Alma, where gold was obtained in an extensive flat in the depth of 5 feet.